All right, Billy Cunningham, the great American, as March Madness continues here on the big one. Scott Sloan, there's two issues percolating like an empty, like a BB and an empty railroad boxcar. One is your buddy Rich Hoffman, who's making incendiary comments about the ladies of Lakota. And secondly, of course, is another one of your girlfriends, Liz Rogers, who talk about her and her husband.
Right.
But first of all, you read to me some stuff that Rich Hoffman had written on a blog, and I don't believe it. I think this is the thinkings of Scott Sloan and not Rich Hoffman. What did he allegedly say about the good ladies of Lakota?
Well, here's the comments. Now, as you know, Rich Hoffman, who's been on your show many times to promote the No Lakota agenda, which is no levies, no school levies, nothing at any time, along with Daryl Parks, wrote on his internet blog that Lakota school mothers, and I'm reading a quote here now, are, quote, just prostitutes to their husbands who do everything they can do to be away from them aside from the occasional sex. Their husbands roll over on them at night and insert their manhood into these women of the bedroom, and $100 bills find their way into their purses. These women don't know what the man does to earn the money, nor do they care. They are busy saving the world one child at a time with howls of safety and more regulations as they rush to the polling places at election time.
Do you get excited when Rich Hoffman talks about sex?
Not in that way. That sounds like icky sex.
Well, are you sure this isn't something you made up?
Well, according to Rich Hoffman, who I spoke to on my show, this is on his blog for your viewing, and he says, I was trying to make a point that these people were personally attacking me, and I tried to turn it around. I don't know. I tried to say to Rich, you kind of undercut your argument now because it's going to be the focus on whether they think you're nuts or not, use that against you, and, of course, that's going to be your downfall. So you never want to make personal attacks, as you know, Bill Cunningham, because you would never make a personal attack on someone who largely can't defend themselves, let alone a suburban housewife. You don't want to do that.
Something comes to mind like Liz Rogers. We'll deal with that in a moment. But I would say this, that if he actually said those things about the mothers of Lakota, the good mothers who take their kids to school every morning, who work 24 hours a day, who care deeply about their husbands and their children, if he actually said those things, that guy is no better than Rush Limbaugh or no better than Bill Maher, because he has undermined his own argument by making ridiculous sexual comments about women over which he has no knowledge. Well, I would assume the ladies of Lakota have as much pleasure in bed as the ladies of Kenwood or the ladies of Independence, Kentucky.
Correct.
I don't get it.
In one fell swoop, Willie, you've now offended every single woman in the listening audience during my show and yours. Something combined we've never been able to do. And Rich Hoffman has done that. So when he says that about wives of men in Lakota, you've upset the men, of course, but especially the ladies, obviously. And now every suburban mom, or every mom that has a kid in Cincinnati public schools or ever did, now hate Rich Hoffman because of those statements. That's I still don't understand why you would think that was good to put that down.
It's bad, it's not good, and I think it detracts from the argument he's trying to make, which, by the way, I reject. Unlike you and Daryl Parks, I almost always vote for school levies because you can't punish the kids for the misbehavior of alleged school boards, and I always vote for school levies because that's the future of our nation.
Right.
And the example I would use with you, young Scott Sloan, my butterfly, is this.
Yes.
Many, many years ago, Deer Park and Madeira, both about the same, socioeconomically pretty close. Deer Park made the decision to fail levies, and the property values in Deer Park have not gone up, or in fact, they've gone down. Madeira made the decision about 10 or 15 years ago to pass school levies, and now Madeira houses turn over regularly. It's a vibrant, alive community. They've built 3 new schools. Academic excellence is a given. At Deer Park, it's taken Kim Gray and the school board years to build back to the excellent level where Deer Park was when I went there. Lakota has an excellent school system, and the reason they have an excellent school system is because the administrators, the parents, the teachers, everyone is involved in an educational pursuit. And to take away money from that entity, which is the foundation of building the property values that affects everybody, is self-inflicted pain, and Lakota should pass school levies, and Lakota should have the money available. And the Rich Hoffmans of this world, I get his point. It's one of the few taxes you can vote on.
Correct.
And when you can vote on a tax, you vote it down. But I think this is a self-inflicted wound that Rich Hoffman himself will rue the day he said those things. And secondly, he's hurting his own property values by hurting the schools of Lakota.
Well, I will say this, Bill Cunningham. I agree with a couple things. First of all, no credit is ever given to the parents, who are just as important, and more important, I should say, than the teachers or the school district. Of course, when you went to Deer Park, Willie, they still only had one room there at the school, and now they have several several schools, as you know. That being said, and now something called bus transportation. But that being said, elder statesman William Cunningham, is ideal in fact, not emotion like you do. And, of course, anytime you study the figures, because I'm a facts and figures kind of guy, it'll show that how much you spend on schools has no bearing on performance. It has, again, more to do with the quality of the student than the quality of the school. And I just look at the parochial schools around town, filled with asbestos, darkened caverns with nuns walking around in rulers. But these kids wind up like 97% of them going to college and being successful in life. Why? Because they come from families whose parents give a damn about their education and don't look at it as public subsidized daycare. That being said, and that factual basis, I agree with you on the Rich Hoffman thing. They're going to use this against him. And the fact of the matter is we're still going to suffer because the real story, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, Willie, as you know, is the whole school funding model in Ohio is stupidly broken and antiquated. Yes. And that's the real issue here that both sides should be fighting rather than talking about whether to vote or against a vote for or against a levy. We should be talking about how schools are funded and why a gun is held to our head every time we've got to vote. Well, we think our kids, the future of our kids, but if I vote against it, my housing is worth nothing. Look at Little Miami, what happened there. And that's the real problem that no one wants to talk about.
My little butterfly, I would say this, that Lakota is a successful, vibrant, alive community.
Because of the parents, because of those moms that Rich Hoffman tears down. Yes.
The moms, the parents, the students, the teachers, the administrators from top to bottom. It is a good school system. It is succeeding. It is not an academic emergency. The kids behave in school. And so when something is going in the right direction, you fund it in such a way as to keep it doing that. If something was going in the wrong direction, like CPS, with many schools an academic emergency, you'd have a different story. I am proud to know Coach Larry Cox at Lakota West and some others, and they do what is right. And so the the Rich Hoffmans of this world, one of your buddies, has made sexually provocative comments that undermine his own argument and hurts his own property values. And so I think the Rich Hoffmans of this world will be consigned to the denizens of the deep because his comments will be used.
Don't drag Seg into this.
He is a denizen. He is a denizen of the deep. Now,
why are you talking about the depth of Seg's belly button? I'm like Martin Luther King. I would rather judge someone on the content of their character and not the depth of their naval cavity.
Before we go any further with you, as March Madness is underway, I want to get your comments about something that you unearthed weeks ago, and that is Liz Rogers has come out of her woman cave, and she's made a statement about certain people in the media that have treated her unfairly and certain media coverages that may not be accurate. I received word. I can't be specific, as you know.
No.
But I understand that Liz Rogers' husband may have difficulties also of one type or another.
What?
Yes, Mr. Liz Rogers may have difficulties of such a character. That's going to become public in a week or two. But let's leave that to the side for the moment.
Really?
What about the statement of Liz Rogers?
Liz Rogers says that it's my fault. And I got it all wrong, and the media has it wrong. Willie, you have it wrong. We're out to get her. Those kind of things. Falling short, of course, saying it's a personal and attack because maybe of her gender or the color of her skin. Of course, I with you, I'm offended by those comments, much like the Rich Hoffman comments. Again, it's back to the nature of it. Listen, we've extended an opportunity for Liz Rogers to come on.
Yes.
I'll ask her a few fair, maybe tough, but certainly fair questions. Give her an opportunity. The guy who emailed her comments, I think that her public statement from the African American Chamber of Commerce, whose name escapes me right now, but we'll offer that gentleman an opportunity if he wants to be her liaison or her spokesperson. I understand that. And talk about why these charges and these allegations are, first of all, factually incorrect and why we got the story and what we've been talking about wrong. I think that's fair, don't you?
It is fair, and this is an example of how government does things it should not do, such as finance stadiums and such as hand out money to restaurants. But we have to run. March Madness is underway, and Scott Sloan, you'll be monitoring. I just got potted up the blog of your buddy, Rich Hoffman. He says, quote, the ladies of Lakota, the mothers, quote, their husbands roll them over at night and insert their manhood into these women of the bedroom, and $100 bills find their way into their purses. That comment will come back to haunt Rich Hoffman.
Well, I don't think it's coming back. I think it's haunting him right now. And I think if before you weren't plugged into the Lakota thing, you thought, well, it's a money issue. You hear those words, that makes you want to vote for a levy, not against it.
Well, the mothers of Lakota have just been called whores and prostitutes, and they're going to react negatively to that because those are women of high moral virtue.
And you know what? As well, they should. They should react negatively to this because that's insulting to any woman. It's like saying these women are just stupid. I mean, you may have a difference of opinion, but you don't have to drag it down to this kind of level. That's insane.
Well, Sloaney, you're getting too wordy. Let's go. But my little butterfly, let's save this for next week.
Why do you keep calling me your little butterfly? You're creeping me out. You're like Larry Sandusky.
You began as a moth. Now you're a butterfly.
I'm a butterfly. What about the chrysalis?
Thank you, Sloaney. Billy Cunningham news coming up next on 700 WLW.